welcome to my latest mistake. This is a 1999 Maserati 3200 GT. It's not a car I thought I'd own, ever. But then I never thought I'd own an SM, which is mad. I actually own two cars with a Maserati engine. Yeah, so if you go back a couple of weeks, you might remember I did a video where I had a little bit of a meltdown and said, I have too many projects, too many things on, and I need to get rid of some of it. Get rid of some cars. Fine. One of the things I was going to get rid of was my TVR Chimaera, because the way I saw it, I liked the car perfectly fine, but I had no long-term purpose for it. I had no long-term need for it. It was a project car. If I got it back on the road, what was I going to do with it? With so many other cars, I probably would have just sold it anyway. The only advantage the Chimaera had for me was that I could do all the work because I am a TVR mechanic. I run a garage, I run a business. My specialty is TVRs. So it's a busman's holiday. I could have done it quite easily. Maserati 3200 GTs, very much not my forte. I am as much of a novice as you. In fact, if anything, if you're watching this video, you might know more about Maserati 3200 GTs than I do. So how have I ended up with one? Well, I put a post up saying that I was looking to sell my Chimaera, and I was offered a trade for this car, a straight swap. Now, initially, I did the same thing you're doing right now. You're thinking, hang on, you had a Chimaera that had been off the road for many, many years, and if you follow this channel, you'll know it needed headlights and the roof doing, and it needed lots of different stuff. Underneath, there's probably a good car, but a lot of hours to go into it, and hours are something I don't have. And then you see this is an MOT'd, quite tidy, exceptionally pretty car. I mean, this is a stunning car. I mean, who the hell made that plate to boil their head? And I did the same thing. I got his email, or I got his message, and I said, is that not worth a lot more than mine? I had my Chimaera up for £7,500. Surely this is worth more than £7,500. A bit of time was spent thinking, but I have to be honest, not a lot, because I got excited because it's a Maserati. Although that's not normally my thing, it's not normally the sort of car I'd go for. Maybe life is too short. Life is too short. Life is definitely too short. So I said yes. The story goes, I did the trade, and the Maserati that I'm driving right now was described to me as needing nothing. It wants for nothing. Well, this video, this little clip, was filmed just after it arrived. Right, we've gone back in time a little bit. This is not filmed at the same time as the intro. This is filmed at the point the car has just arrived. I'm filming this now because the emotions and things I have at the moment and the feelings I have at the moment, if I wait, then they won't be genuine. I'll have to kind of either be watered down by the fact I've had time to think about it and have maybe ironed out a few kinks and calm down, or I will have to fake rage it. Because at the moment, no, I'm not raging at the moment. I was raging about 2.5 hours ago. At the moment, I'm not raging. I'm kind of just despondent. I think I've mugged my TVR off, basically. Well, you say I've mugged my TVR off. First things first. That's a handsome automobile. My God, that's a good-looking car. I don't feel like I've mugged it off looking at this. And the guy dropping it off on the truck looked at the TVR, looked at this and went, are they really the same value? But the whole point of selling the TVR, the whole point of moving the TVR on was I mentioned in the video I did the other day about why it was going, was to free up my mind, to free up space, to free up my to-do list. I have too many things on my to-do list. I want to get rid of some of them. Hence the TVR going. I didn't necessarily want to get rid of the TVR, but I needed the space in my head. This has not bought space in my head because this has problems. I wasn't aware of a lot of them. Some of them I was aware, but many of them not. I'll take you around it quickly and show you some of the niggles I've found already. So, starting at the top, we have this. Look at all this. Now that looks, I admit, this actually looks worse than it is. I'm pleased to admit, because when it arrived, it was like this. And what had happened was the wind had got underneath that and lifted it out. And so I saw all that scuffing and thought, oh my God, it's gone through the paint. I was actually on the phone to the previous owner at the time, and he said, could it just be glue? And I kind of thought that was strange how he might know that that would have been glue. I think it is glue. I think he's right. I put a caramel wheel on some of it, and it started to come off. So I'm going to do this in a minute because I need to stick this. But he says he's never glued it down. It's a lot of fairly recent, well, I'm going to say glue. It's not really glue. It's like bathroom caulk. That's what that looks like. Some like shitty bathroom sealant. And there's not much of it. So it's recoverable because there is a lip on the rubber seal in there which grips around the edge of the screen. So I have some proper glue. I can put that down. Really, that was something I was freaking out about because I thought the roof was all scratched up. But I think that is now just an inconvenience. However, it is something that now fills me with dread because I think, well, if this is the level of maintenance the car's had, if that's the level of working on it that it's had, how good is the rest of it? I mean, is that actually a wood screw in there? There's no screen wash in it either. That's always a good sign for a car that is taxed and roadworthy. The tyres, they don't have much left. The one on the other side next to bugger all, it's about 1.68 mil. This one a little bit more, probably closer to 2. They are both 13 years old. The front ones aren't 13 years old, but on this 370 horsepower minimum, because apparently they make more, this Maserati is wearing Salons. Yeah. And those are also some big spaces in there. That's a bit concerning. I hope those aren't those horrible scrolling indicators. I'm guessing not. Going to give Maserati the benefit of the doubt here because as far as lights go, they have made them all very nice. And of course, yes. And they work. The tail lights work. I don't know about the brake lights, but the tail lights work. I've got that badge on a Citroen. So that's one of the issues. Another issue, keys. I've been given 2 keys, which sounds good. There's no red key. That's bad. But also, when you go to open the door on a car that's got pillarless windows, 9 times out of 10, the window should drop. Only it hasn't, which means the glass bends and gets caught under the frame here. And then when you go to shut the door rather, that's how you smash bits of glass. So I'm going to have to try and remember to do that every time. Why that's not working properly, I don't know. As far as the keys, I've got 2 of these. Only one of them has a button, and the buttons don't do anything. And there doesn't appear to be a remote fob, unless that's it. But there's nothing. And you think, well, just use the key then, lazy bones. Well, yeah, you could do. Only the central lock-in doesn't work. I mean, none of the things wrong with this are things that you would say, it's a 27-year-old Italian car. None of them are unreasonable. I'm not saying they are. None of them are unreasonable. But I didn't know about them. And if I knew about them, it would have changed my decision, ultimately. But I have been naive again, perhaps. I've been a bit silly. I was naive getting the ZX Vulcan, and I've been naive with this. I haven't even driven it yet. That's how bummed out I am about it. So it's just arrived, and I kind of feel like wish I hadn't got rid of my TVR. But I'm going to try and take this off now, so I can glue this roof trim back, this windscreen trim back on rather. And at least that's one thing done. I can't even drive it because the wind will just blow that out. This glue was wet when it came out and got flung around the car. You can see it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the lens there, but basically there's all that wet drip marks flung backwards. It's like if you had a wet windscreen and it all, if you put the windscreen washers on, well, you can't because there's no bloody fluid in it. But if there was, it would fling all over the roof. Well, that kind of looks like what it's done, only with glue. See? Looks like it's being flicked that way. And that glue looks new. I mean, I'm not an idiot. That come on. So as we can see, I wasn't the brightest bulb in the box that day. I was a little bit bummed out, a little bit annoyed. I was at times raging, and I felt I'd been, well, for whatever reason, I'd ended up giving away a car that I knew inside out and knew that I'd be able to fix anything on it, no problem. And having taken something on which I thought might be worth a little bit more and doesn't need anything doing, I can just drive it. I've taken a car that is a project and replaced it with a car that is usable. That seems like a jump forward. That seems like progress, irrelevant of what car that is. And then I ended up in a position where I realised that the car I swapped it for actually wasn't like that. It needed a lot of work. Now, some of those things were described to me beforehand, but some of them weren't. And I wouldn't be quite as angry as I was now if it weren't for the phone call I had up with the guy afterwards, where I said, you know, I was looking for something that was ready to go, that needed nothing. And his words were, well, it's a 30-odd-year-old Maserati. It's not going to be like that. But that was literally the opening message from him. He literally said it did. It needed nothing. And that's why I'm angry now. I am raging inside. And it's hampering my enjoyment of the car quite a lot. So, anyway, so did it pick up? Well, later on, yes, it did. That evening, I drove it home. I wobbled home in it with the steering, like, pointing at almost 45 degrees. Geo. I've done it now, that's why I can do that. There was a lot of things that weren't quite right with it, but I drove it home that night. I took the kids out in it and took it to a local big road, open road, opened the taps on it. Their response made up for some of the stuff that had happened that day. They found that quite enjoyable. Yeah, it does go quite well. I'll give it that. It does go quite well. The Maserati is slowly starting to soothe the wound, you know? Heal the emotional damage that I was already reeling from that day. And the next morning, I took one of them to college in it, and I had the best drive I'd had at that point. I was slowly getting used to the, frankly, stupid throttle. The throttle in this car is appalling. It's just not right. I mean, and apparently this is how they are. Maserati needs to give themselves a good long hard look in the mirror for that one. It's not, you just can't drive it properly. So this is a quick little snippet, real time. This is the day after I picked up the car, or no, had it delivered. And I've driven 38.5 miles in it so far. Haven't gone anywhere very far, but I'm sort of like just getting together my first impressions and things. I'm a little more positive than I was yesterday. I'm still pretty pissed off, but I'm a bit more positive than I was, a little less ragey. I do quite like it. There's some things I note first. I mean, I'm a pessimist, so the things I note first that ruin it. I don't know what is going on with this steering. The chap said that it needed the geo doing. It had some different, had coilovers fitted. It got rid of the, is it Skyhook? Got rid of the electronic suspension, the adjustable suspension. It's had coilovers fitted, and that would mean that it needs the geo doing. The wheel is like, no, it's like 25 degrees out. It's not even, this isn't the geo thing. So now I'm wondering, has it been over a big pothole? Has it had a knock? I'm now panicking about that because it's just, you know, got me on edge. But it drives, it kind of tracks. The geo isn't a mile out. It tracks fairly kind of straight and true. I just don't think it's had anyone looking after it, to be honest. That's kind of the impression I'm getting, is there's a lot of stuff on it, like wood screws and the scuttle panel. It's just like, I just don't think it's had the right touch. So the steering lets it down. Now I can sort the steering. The other thing that lets it down big time was two other things. It's too low, it's too stiff, it rubs, the wheels rubbing the arches, that needs sorting out. And the other thing is the throttle. Throttle absolutely kills it. It's horrible. It's so light And the pedal, there's no weight to that pedal at all. Honestly, Logitech G29 has better pedal weight than that. Like, the mapping of the throttle is so, like, not linear, and it's almost like it's variable. Like, sometimes you just breathe on the pedal and the revs go vroom, like that, and other times it responds a bit better. As it warms up, it's better. Maybe that's the difference. As the car warms up, it is possible to drive it smoothly, but my god, it's hard work. And the problem is, this is the problem I had in my Alfa 156 all those years ago, which this actually reminds me of a lot, which was from the same year, 1999, same colour. Very similar feeling, actually, to that. There's a lot of vibe of the Alfa in this, especially with the pedals. That throttle pedal, I'm having to keep my throttle foot raised off the pedal, because if I touch it even slightly, 2 turbos start whooshing, and it goes to headbutt the horizon. And the problem with that is it's giving me cramp on the front of my shin. I don't fit Alphas very well, which is probably why I don't have many of them. This one appears like it might be the same kind of thing. It has had some kind of uprated throttle pot, this car. Apparently there's a common issue. This has had that, so I don't know if that's all okay. But the thing it really needs, it needs more weight on the throttle pedal. You need to be able to rest your foot on it a little bit more. If I raised it slightly, softened it slightly, sorted this steering out and sorted that throttle out, this would actually be quite nice. As far as positives go, it's biblically fast. This is by far the fastest car I've ever owned. I've driven some pretty fast stuff, and compared to some of that, this isn't actually that. I've driven faster cars than this, but it goes. It really goes. It's got a lot of character about the engine. The engine sounds nice. It's got a lovely noise, but the thing, it's gorgeous as well. I hadn't really given any appreciation for that. It's absolutely stunning to look at. It's only really this and the SM are the 2 cars I've had recently where I've walked past them and gone, bloody hell, and keep looking at it. I don't mind the gear change. It's a bit notchy when it's cold, but it's very similar to a BMW's. I think it's a get drag box. Maybe that's why half the stuff in here doesn't work, but it does feel special. The thing that I can't get my head around is the silliness of it, because it's quite a grown-up car, but it's just so childish. The turbos, they're just like, you put your foot down. I took my lads out in it last night, and the first thing one of them said, they were, oh, that's so cool. Because it's like a Noble, you just get this whooshing and the hissing and the chattering and everything. It's so much drama. And then with a V8 soundtrack, you don't normally put those 2 things together. You look at this thing and you think, oh, it's going to have a V12 in it, or a naturally aspirated V8 or something like that, like an Aston. And then it whooshes and chirps, and then it reminds you, actually, that's Maserati's crazy era. Was back in like the 80s and 90s. That's when they were doing all the silly whooshing and chirping stuff. But to compound things, I just got called a knobhead. I just had a woman, I think it was a woman, on the side of the road as I'm driving down a high street, which I had to do. I wasn't posing, I had to drive down. That's the way I had to go. Shout knobhead as I drove past. And I thought, right, two problems. I don't have any issue being called a knobhead, because I probably am a knobhead. But the issue I have is that this car is worth about 9 or 10 grand. And I was following like some SUV, I don't know what it was, some boring electric SUV, which is probably 80. But I'm the knobhead. They had a private plate, 80 grand car, and I'm the flash knobhead in my old Italian car that's worth less than a second-hand Fiesta ST. Okay, it's 9:30 on a Thursday morning, and she's not at work, so that kind of says everything. And yeah, love, I mean, you might think you're alternative the way you're dressed and everything, but if I said to you which band has the initials STP, you wouldn't be able to tell me, let's be honest. I'd love to have got out and said that to her, but I couldn't because I had a queue of cars behind me. So the next day I drive it into work, I park it up, and I continue on my day working on other cars. I go to move the car in the evening. I think I'll leave it in the unit tonight, and this happens. Captain's log, just over 24 hours with the Maserati now. That's the car in the dead ahead position. That's how the wheel was. Yeah, so let's start it up and put it back in the workshop. Oh, great. Cheers for that. Tell you what, it wants for nothing, this car. It wants for nothing. Oh, bite your tongue. Oh, I swear to God. Piece of junk. Is it even the battery? It'll be the starter motor, won't it? Oh good, the battery's in good condition. So what that means is the once for nothing Maserati has a starter motor. Yeah! Yeah, to go with the steering that's on the piss, and the central locking that doesn't work, and the windows that don't drop, and the fuel smell coming from the back of it, and the burning oil smell coming from it. What else was it? All the flat tyres it had when it arrived. What else was there? The window rubber that had come out and painted shit all over the roof. So what I've done is I've given away my TVR that I could have fixed up or just sold as it was, and I've taken in this piece of shit. Why? If I knew that all these things were wrong with it, if he told me all these things were wrong with it, I wouldn't have done the swap. Now by this point, I am not a happy bunny. I'm not a happy camper. I am, yeah, wondering if there's even any point doing anything further with it. But I did find my way around it. I went and did some research and started taking things apart, and as we can see in the next clip, I did manage to get it on the road, because as you can see at the moment, this is not AI, I'm on the road. Right, it's now been 72 hours, 96 hours maybe, as a Maserati owner, so it lasted on the road for 24 hours, just about, and then I had a bit of a duck fit the other night when it wouldn't start, and we are still in that position now, only I've pushed it back in the workshop. I did leave it outside for a little while, for about 2 days, just as a sort of to it, but now I've pushed it back inside the workshop and I've calmed down a little bit. I think, to be honest, the reason I was really annoyed that day, other than the fact that I've just, traded a car that I knew for a car that didn't need anything but then didn't start after 24 hours, that the evening before and the morning of that day where it didn't start, I was getting used to it. I was starting to kind of think, oh, okay, yeah, I'm starting to get there with this. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of things not right with it. I have big concerns. I have serious concerns, actually, about the steering, because the steering wheel has about 5 mil of play in it. That ain't right. And I've been back through the paperwork, and I've noticed that it's just had a second-hand steering rack fitted. So, and the wheel was like that. So, God knows how well that's been done. The suspension ruins it. It's way too low, and it's too stiff. The tyres are shit. The suspension's way too low. It's grounded out and everything. It's rubbing everything. It's been ruined. So I'm going to have to unruin it. But before I can unruin it, I'm going to have to try and get it running again. I've done some research. I went on the internet. I went on a forum, a Maserati forum, an owner's forum, and so far, I haven't actually joined it. I've just kind of lurked about. It actually looks quite good. The people on there look quite knowledgeable. And so far, the forum might have helped me out on what I think might be the most current issue with it, the starter motor. I shall demonstrate to you now the issue, because it has remained, hasn't fixed itself amazingly. One of the prettier engine bays I've had. So the starter motor is apparently here. And before you say, duh, that's the inlet manifold, I realise this. It's underneath this, apparently. And also, weirdly, it might be a Peugeot one. Now, one of the parts that it supersedes to, one of the sort of cross-reference part numbers, is for a Xantia starter motor. That would be amazing, because I have one. I don't think it will be. I don't think that's going to happen. But so that's a good start. But we'll see. So the first thing I need to do is get these fuel rails off, and all this pipe work on the front and that inlet manifold, and then see if I can get to the starter motor. What's that the same as? It does look like a Citroen one. Who knows? Right, well, it's back under there for now. I've got the starter motor to take home. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. Today I should have come in on a Saturday. I've done a bit on Professor Tomato. There. And hopefully, well, it's as ready as Professor Tomato will ever be ready. I should have been working on these. I wanted to get that to Rusterville. That's mid-April. I've just lost a Saturday because I've been faffing around trying to get a starter motor off that. Right, so what I've done here is I've taken the nose off, which is that there. This is the Maserati starter, so that can go over there. And then this is the Xantia starter, which I definitely did not drop just now. And all I need to do take all them off. There is the nose. There you go. That's the difference between a Citroen Xantia and a Maserati 3200 GT. That's not something you thought you'd hear today, is it? There we go. One Maserati starter. Martin Lewis would be proud, wouldn't he? I'm guessing. I don't know. Oh, praise the Lord. Something's gone right. That's the original brake servo hose, dated 1998, and it is starting to split here. And apparently this is a common thing. And I have found, up in my stash, a brand new bit of, well, it's dated 2023, but it's been stored indoors. It's fine. I found that in my stash, and that was meant to go on my TVR, which I swapped for this amount of work. So yeah, something went well. Also, while I'm here, this is the other side of the inlet manifold, plenum, I suppose you would call this. Yeah, 2004. So it's had a different throttle body, and then that's been rebuilt a couple of times by a local specialist, it turns out. Also, I would like to have replaced these with silicone, but I don't have any of the right size. I thought I did, but I don't, so that's not happening. Also, would you like to see some things that are slightly sexual? Oh, look at that. The SM's like that as well. Oh. Right, the Xantia starter motor is fitted. Before I go fitting the inlet manifold and all that coolant pipe malarkey that goes on the top of it, and using sealant, because it's not just O-rings, I'm going to have to put sealant on that as well, if what people write online is to be believed. I would quite like to know whether this starter is actually going to crank the engine before I go putting it all back together. You could say, why don't you just flip the ignition on and crank it with the key? Well, if I do that, petrol is going to come flying out of here, which I don't want. So what I'm going to do, I've rigged up another battery, and I'm going to use a screwdriver to jump the solenoid. So when I stick my screwdriver in there, there should be some horrible sparks. I'll probably shit myself, and the engine should crank. If there's just a big click and it doesn't, this screwdriver, valiant an effort though it is to help me in my quest to get a Maserati back on the road, it will be being launched. It will probably go through the door. So if I touch that to that, I think it's trying. Yes, it is. That's working. Not cranking very quickly, but that's this is Hilda's battery. It's not really made for Maserati. But then neither's a Xantia starter motor, so...
Scroll through my phone, but there's no
Right, so a bit of progress. The cooling thing is pretty much in, except for this hose here. I've put a bit of extra silicone around that back hose there because I didn't like the way it's set against the top of the gearbox, to be honest. I don't think there's a huge amount left to do before the inlet manifold goes on. But there is one thing I'm going to do. Don't know what the torque setting is on these. About that. Alright, just for fun, let's hear it click. Honestly, I'm completely prepared for this. The alarm's going off because the fobs don't work. More than it did before. Oh, right, it works. I'll let the sealant go off overnight and put some coolant in it tomorrow. And well, now that it runs, I stand a chance of putting it on the ramp and sorting out the steering and the suspension. Trying to unbastardize all that, but one step at a time. It started, didn't it? Oh, a little update before I went home. One of the keys. Hey! But the other one doesn't work. Okay, so it's a day after I managed to sort my keys out, and I have driven the Maserati. It has now done 44 miles in 8 days. Well done, you. Yes, so basically I bled the cooling system back in this morning. That was actually surprisingly easy. I have been working on customers' cars today, and now I've put it on the ramp for the first time. This is the first time it's been on here, and it was a dick getting it on there because it's so low. So I drove it today, and in doing so, I had forgotten how crap it drives. It drives like an absolute piece of junk. Now, there are probably 3 main reasons why it's doing that at the moment. The first one is the throttle. These are known for having spiky throttles, but it is unacceptable. It's terrible. It's like, you know, if you drive a Citroen, a hydro Citroen, and the brakes are like a switch, they're on or off, right? Well, that's okay if you get used to it because the pedal is quite firm. So you can rest your foot on it, and then however hard you push that pedal, and it moves a tiny amount, modulates how much braking force you've got. Now imagine that pedal has full travel and no weight to it. How do you think your braking would go then in a BX? That's what the throttle's like on this. The initial, I'm not joking, the initial 5mm of travel, I swear it opens the throttle halfway. It's ridiculous, and you end up kangarooing down the road. First and second gear in this is hell, especially in an estate where you're having to slow down for speed bumps and things. And you're changing gear, and you're trying to bring the revs up, and you're kangarooing, and you're getting clanking down the road, and all the drivetrains getting backlash, going backwards and forwards, and you look like a prick. So I want to try and sort that. Now, that is not an easy thing to sort. I don't know if I ever will sort that. I think that might just be how it is, because I don't intend on keeping this car a really long time. But one of the things I have done to try and improve that a little bit is I've fitted the one of the springs from the brake drums, or from the brake shoes, I should say, on a Sierra or Picasso or something like that I had upstairs. And I've managed to hoop it over the pedal and over a bracket above the pedal. So now I've got an extra spring. So I've made the pedal slightly heavier. I don't know how that'll work. We'll find out. But yeah, just I needed to do something. It's very difficult to drive. But that is exacerbated by the fact that the suspension is rock solid. Because it's so solid, it's way too low. It looks johned up. It's slammed. It's grinding out on speed bumps. It's going over the bumps, so your foot then bounces on the throttle that you're desperately trying to keep still, and you end up revving it, and it's just... So I'm now going to try and raise the suspension, and in the process soften the suspension. But the steering is off to the wonk. So when I say wheel alignment, I mean steering wheel alignment, because I think what's happened is this car has had a steering rack fitted recently, very recently, according to the service history, and whoever's fitted it has made a hash of it. if I was to go to the car now and place my keys, I've already been doing some work. Oh, that was the other thing I forgot to mention. Yes, the other thing. Oh, hang on. Let me tighten this up. So you tighten up the steering, and yet, don't know if you'll be able to see it. Look at that play. Unacceptable. And I've noticed that there's a nut in there. So I'm basically on the end of this clamp, and the lock nut is loose. So I'm thinking the whole thing is just undone at the moment. So I'm hoping that, I mean, look at that. That's excessive. And my spring is that red one. It's a bit Heath Robinson, but it might help. No, anyway, so if I start the engine now, oh shit, put the wipers on. I can start the engine because I've fixed it. Tell you what, the noise doesn't get boring. That does not get boring. But what it does get boring is the steering. So if I put the wheel at the dead ahead position, if I now go full lock to the right, that's 1 turn, 1.5 turns. So it's 3 turns lock to lock then? Okay. Go back to the straight ahead. And then the other way, it should be 1.5 turns. 1 turn. Oh. So basically, what's happened is the middle of the rack is about there somewhere. And the column goes down to the rack and has been fitted misaligned to the rack. I was slowly getting gassed. Obviously that won't do. So what I want to try and do is, well, see if I can sort that out basically. The access is poor. The access to the rack is actually amazingly good, except that one bolt. That is difficult. So that's what I'm going to attempt to get to. And then when I've done that, I'm going to look into raising it up because you can't even get 2 fingers in there. We are under the Maserati. That's the sump. It's big. So basically, yes. Here's some of the coolant I was spilt when I bled it in. Here's the rack. So the rack literally sits at the bottom of the car. Like, you could not want an easier rack to access than that. It's got to be about the only part of the car that is really easy to access. The only hard part of the rack to access is that bolt up there. I've got to try and undo that nut and bolt basically, and then push that union off. That, you keep saying union, UJ off the top, and then turn the wheel straight and bring it back down again, and then tighten it back up. Right, so I currently have the front wheels disconnected from the steering wheel. We can see our high quality tyres, although, has to be said, they're in better condition than the back ones. Ooh, yes. Nice. But then they are 13 years old. Anyway, let's not moan. So yeah, the steering is now disconnected from the steering wheel. And if I put that in there, so now I can turn the wheel independent of the front wheel. So all I'm going to do is get that connected to them in such a way that I've got an equal number of turns lock to lock. That's all I need to do. I don't need to worry about the car wandering or anything like that, or whether the wheel points dead ahead when I'm driving straight ahead. That is geo. I just need there to be an equal number of turns each way. Then I know that that is central to that, and everything else can be taken up by the track rod ends and adjusting the wheel alignment, which I will get done. I've had to drop the anti-roll bar out to get to the steering, so that's been fun, but we are getting there. Right, so we are a little bit further down the line, and that way. Hey, we're in the middle. It's not difficult. I don't know why so many people struggle with that. So we're into raising the suspension, and yeah, could probably put a bit more on that, couldn't we? I was worried about there being too much preload, which is kind of funny really when I see that. So all I'm going to do is wind these up and hope that it's roughly about right. I'm not going to go nuts trying to get it corner weighted and spot on at the moment. I'm just trying to get it roughly where it's meant to be. There we go. And then what I'll do is I'll just basically set the other side to match it. It's also got these hoofing grate spacers fitted here, which are bolted on, so I could remove those if I want. I don't particularly like the standard wheels, but I think without the spacers they look like they're in a bit far, like they look a bit puny, like, you know, but I think those are too big. Well, the front's, is it the front? Yeah, the front's okay. It's the back that looks a bit too big. So look at these wheel bolts. 22mm head. Those are the standard bolts, I'm guessing. It is rubbing as well when I put it on full lock, and I've just seen where. That would be there. That's where it's touching on full lock. And that's not because it's too low. That's actually because of the spacers, I reckon. Because the scrub radius will have changed, and the wheel's further out, so it's probably tipping in and hitting that bit. But if I raise it a bit, that will help at least. I didn't know which C-spanner I needed, so I bought all of them. It didn't come with any, so I've put the I've basically set the height at kind of where I just picking a height to see if that roughly works out where it's meant to be. I've set it equal side to side. I've not bothered corner weighting or anything like that. I'm not being funny. It's got shit tyres on it all the way around. I just discovered that the anti-roll bar, when I put the anti-roll bar back in after I'd done the steering, wasn't bolted on properly. There's a backing plate. It's got little registers that go into the horseshoe plate that goes over the top and holds the D-bush in, and they weren't registered in the slots, so it was all kind of set wonky. And the steering column wasn't bolted in properly either, because the column at the bottom's got a little tiny recess in it, which is where the bolt passes through and locks, so you know that the column's at the right height. And it's like a safety feature to stop it pulling out. It won't, because it's pretty bloody tight, but it wasn't. That's why the bolt was all mullered up that went in there. Well, I couldn't get it out. It was because it was against the splines, not in that little groove. So anyway, we're getting somewhere. I think we are getting these bastard heavy wheels. Yeah, I think we're getting somewhere. So, yeah, I'm going to pop these on and then drop it down and then do the same to the back. I don't actually know how much I raised that by. That was silly. I should have paid attention. I'll do about the same to the back. It was about 9mm, 10mm on the spring platform, but that doesn't necessarily mean it'd be 9 or 10mm. Yeah, it's how it works. You'd think it would work like that, but it doesn't. Right, okay, so I was going to do the back and then go home, but I'm not going to, because something ain't right there. So those wheels are on full droop. So if I try and raise that any higher, all that's going to happen is I'm going to make the springs, basically the shock absorbers have topped out already. They've hit their full travel. So if I try and raise the springs, all that's going to happen is it's just going to compress the springs more. I mean, it will sit slightly higher, but it's at the top of its suspension travel, so it's no wonder it's not going to ride properly. These have adjustable platforms, adjustable spring platforms. So they've got like a locking collar at the bottom, and then a big threaded body, and then more locking collars that the springs are sitting on. Well, I need to wind the whole body out, basically, to raise it, because that's not set up right at all. So, yeah, great times. And it also means I've got to take the coilovers off the car to do it. Yeah, brilliant. I'm not doing that now. I'm going home. Once for nothing. Yeah. Once for nothing. Nice. Right, so following day, and I've done the rear suspension. I've raised it a bit. Couldn't get 2 fingers in before. Now I can get 2 fingers with some play, but that will come down again when I go over some bumps. I'm just doing the steering. This is the best I can get it. It's pretty tight now, but I think something's worn up in the adjuster. So you've got this, like, do you remember on bicycles you used to have quick release wheels? You had that like lever that you turned, it was on a cam, went over centre. It's the same sort of thing, but something is worn here, because if I put it right to the very top and push it right way back and tighten it up, there's no play. But if I bring it out, there's play. So all I've done is basically tighten the nut up that's in there, and then tighten the lock nut up behind it, and now it's bastard tight, and you can't get it undone anymore. But there's no play in it. So for the next person who has this car, which ain't going to be me for long, because I have decided that it's not going to be with me for a long time. The next person, if they need to adjust the steering, they'll just loosen that nut and adjust it. I have decided that I'm not keeping this car a long time. Basically because I got rid of the TVR to save my workload, and I've spent the last 3 hours, well, I've spent 3 hours in the last 2 days working on this, when I should be working on that, which is an SM, which also has a Maserati engine. Yeah, this is not what I needed, to be honest. I thought it was going to be a car that was sort of just on the road, ready to use, everything had been done that needed to be done, and obviously it's a T-Reg car, but no, this has needed work to make it at least drive properly. I don't know if it will. I'm going to find out later on, but obviously it's a T-Reg car. This should be someone's main pride and joy. This is a side quest for me. That's not a side quest. A Maserati 3200 GT is not a side quest car. So yes, I will probably keep it for as long as I'll keep it until I get it re-MOT'd, I would think. That rear tyre you've just seen. So I might have to put tyres on it and then move it to someone else, basically, whether that's for sale or raffle, I don't know. Bit of a risk raffle in that one, but anyway, this is just a quick like interlude bit. I don't know what the next part of this video will be. Maybe back in the car on the road. So who'd have thought a Citroen Xantia starter motor is all I needed? Crazy. Now there were quite a few other niggles and things to pick up with the car, like quite a few other little issues and gremlins and things. Some of them would have been known and not mentioned. I don't believe they wouldn't have been. I believe that, you know, I'm being treated a little bit like I'm stupid. I've been back through the paperwork with the car. It has had a lot of money spent on it, but I do worry that a lot of it is DIY. And not only that, I think this is the kind of car you can fix with the best intentions and the best will in the world, and then that fix only lasts as long as the next problem. Oh look, fly tipping. If you fly tip, right, if you are a fly tipper, I hope your next shit is a cactus. But yeah, this car is just silly. It is absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I've had a bad start with it. I've had a bad time. But now, today, for the first time, I'm out, I'm driving, the steering is pointing the right way, the car is not trying to veer off the road. I only have one warning light on at the moment, so I'm going to take that as a win, and I know that warning light, it's the suspension. This car has had coilovers fitted in place of it's not Skyhook. See, I am learning about Maseratis. It's not Skyhook. Skyhook was the Maserati that came after, the coupe, where they got rid of the boomerang lights. This has, it had like a sport mode suspension. In fact, I've got a sport button here. See if it changes anything. Does it change the throttle? Has it made it worse? No. Yeah, so it did have adjustable suspension, electronically adjustable suspension, but after 100,000 miles and 30 odd years, that had decided to shit the bed, which is normal, and it was decided to remove it because the availability of spares is poor, and fitting coilovers might seem the way to go. Now, I get that. That was the previous owner, and I respect that decision. That does make sense. The coilovers fitted, I don't know anything about them, but what I can tell you is that when they were fitted, they were way too low, and then once I'd raised them, I discovered that when I went to soften them, I can't. That's it. These are as soft as they go. Is it a bad thing? I don't know. On one hand, I think yes, because it's stiff around town. But on the other hand, when you press on in the countryside, if anything, it's a little bit bobby at the front. It might actually need to be stiffer, which is good news because you can make it stiffer. Oh look, a Fiat 124 Coupe. I dynoed one of those recently. If you haven't seen the video, there's the link in the top corner. I'm gonna have to dyno this one day, aren't I? This is easily gonna win. Jesus Christ. I've never actually leant on it before. Oh, the front's weird. The front is... yeah. The front and rear axles feel like they were engineered by different people. It's not bad. It's got grip. It shouldn't do with the tyres it's got on it. And there we go. We're in the next village. That's how fast it is. Can't enjoy the roads because it just links villages together really quickly. I don't have space in my life for any more projects. Now, this car is on the road. It's MOT'd. It's MOT'd till May. I might put another year on it. If I do that, I'm going to have to put tyres on it because the car that... oh, a Lotus Esprit. That is gorgeous. The car that didn't want for anything needs, well, 2 new tyres, yes. The 2 front tyres are like some absolute abomination that shouldn't be on it. And I'm not a tyre snob, and anyone who knows me will tell you I'm not a tyre snob. I'm far from it. I will quite happily buy tyres that most people turn their nose up at. I look at the ratings and how tyres feel and who makes those tyres, who is in charge of those brands. You know, you might see some budget Far Eastern thing and turn your nose up at it until you find out that Continental own the factory and make it out of the rubber that Continentals are made of, and it is pretty much a design from 2 years ago that Continental used as an example. It's not necessarily Continental, but the ones on the front of this are not that. They are just, it happened to be the same size as a Kia Sorento, so tyres from a Kia Sorento were fitted. What do you reckon, first gear? First time I've done that. I think it would give a Cerber a hard time. It's that quick. Apparently these are 370 horsepower, but the legend goes that Ferrari, who took ownership of Maserati at the time this was produced, did not want it upstaging a Ferrari, and so it was underquoted. And we know that a lot of cars do seem to be underquoted. Well, if only I had a dyno and I could find out one day. That'd be good, wouldn't it? I thought I'd stop up here just to show you around the car, but I've forgotten my muff for my microphone, so I don't know if that's how bad that is, but it does look good, doesn't it? It looks very good. So as we can see, we have kind of like, I mean, I'm guessing faded carpet. I don't know. It looks worse in that video than it does on that screen than it does in real life. Seat reclined for the rear camera, which went flat. Maserati badges in the headrests. It's a nice place to sit. I mean, the driving position, as I say, is a little bit Maserati. I've pulled that wheel out as far as it goes. But things like the doors... It's got a nice... I love that sound there. Someone making a right meal of getting by there. Yeah, that sound there. Oh, that's nice. Obviously, we have the boomerang lights, the first LED lights fitted to a car, which have a lot to answer for now because cars with LEDs are very annoying. I don't think I can stay here too long. People are making a meal of getting by. I thought that was a big enough gap to get most things by, to be honest, but yeah. Crappy tyres aside. Is it me? It's not really very me, is it? But it does look good. Well, there we go. That's the 2 weeks I've had with the Maserati 3200 GT. I don't know how many more weeks there will be if someone rocks up at my place offering me £8.5 grand for it. But until then, it might be at Rustival. I don't know. I think I'd rather take my ZX Volcan, but that's got a lot more work to get that on the road. Mind you, that might not last the 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever it is till Rustival. Or I might put myself up a tree. There's that possibility too. But there we go. I swapped my broken TVR for a broken Maserati that wasn't supposed to be broken.